Hello, and good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. So, today's session we'll be discussing the past week's current affairs, some of the topics. So, hope all of you have been reading newspapers, and you can also add your inputs throughout the sessions. And we'll take up a couple of topics today. And meanwhile, you can be interactive, you can add your inputs, and also if there are any other topics you have come across, you can put up in the chat box. We'll have a brief discussion on that as well. Okay, so this week I'm going to start with history topic directly: history, art, and culture. Polity, there is a narrative that is those three bills, or the criminal provisions or the acts that's been having a narrative. So already we have discussed in the previous sessions. So until it has been finalized and we get complete details, you can keep a tab on such topics. Apart from that, any wildlife sanctuaries or tiger reserves that has been seen, have an awareness about it. That is how you have to revise certain topics, because throughout the year we'll be having a narrative that has a continuum. And instead of bringing up that every week, we know that if these are the topics which have over the couple of weeks they are seen in news or articles or in the news, any of the other magazines. So just having an awareness is very, very important. Okay, we have a long way to go until you write your exam. So maybe during the time of revision we can completely update all for once. Okay, so we will be taking up the very first topic today regarding a personality that was recently seen in news. Because of we have various background, we have to go a little depth of this topic. So Constantine Joseph Besci. So he is an Italian Jesuit, a monk basically. So this person is in news after ages. Why? And what is the reason? And why he's associated with the current relevant, why he's still relevant, we will look into it. So recently the English translation of the first biography of Constantine, this monk, who was also known as Veera Mamunivar, in and it is being translated in Tamil by A. Muthuswami Pillai. That book was released. The translation or translated book, biography of this monk, has been released recently. But when we connect to the history part, because it is seen in newspaper and it was on Hindu, so I believe that all of you might have come across this news. Speaking about this, when we look into this particular article, we go back to some of the major wars that was fought, especially between French and English, and also what was the influence of such monks in the wars that was fought in the as pre-independence time. So that we will look into it. And some of the historical personalities that was related, that is Nawab of Carnatic, is also being mentioned in the article. So we will have a few takeaways from the article, and we will try to associate from the exam perspective. Okay, the news is quite simple. It is about the translation. The book has been translated recently, which is a very old book, or a biography of a monk or an Italian Jesuit, we say, that is like a priest. So we will see about the person himself. So he was an Italian Jesuit missionary and a Tamil scholar. So he was also known as Veerama Munivar. He arrived in Goa in 1700. So speaking of such personalities, what we understand is, we know that we have this in order. If you go by the foreigners who entered India in terms of maybe from the religious perspective or maybe from trade. Basically, we study in history that all these foreigners entered from an a aim or a motive of trading, maybe Portuguese, Dutch, or English, or French, right? even some of the monks, or when we look into it, Goa or coastal areas were the first entry point for all of these. And in history also we study about the conversion or the influence of the Christianity in throughout the coast, right? And some of the rulers, Indian rulers, even invited acknowledge their presence in India. So this was there. So need not make it to be a controversial thing. So we'll just stick to the points here, wherein what was these personalities' contribution to literature, and how, if at all, because of their biography, we get to know the historical perspectives and the other what do you call as a view from what happened during those wars in their time. Okay, so he also studied, this particular person also studied Sanskrit, Telugu, and Tamil, and became master of these languages, especially Tamil. So his works such as Tembavani, Saturakarati, hope I'm pronouncing it right, speak for his scholarship in Tamil. He was also known as Tairiyananda Swami, and its translation reads Veeramunivar. From the exam perspective, you need not worry about these scholarly names or scriptures and all that. Maybe even the question will not be asked on this person also, but one of the major historical events that took place, or the wars that happened, that matters here. So Carnatic or Nawab means which war we are talking about. If the region is Carnatic and it is about Nawab, okay, let's look into the name of the Nawab that is being mentioned here as well. So Chanda Sahib, if you have come across this name already in your history classes. So Chanda Sahib, what was his contribution? Or what is the importance of this very person when we look into it? So we connect to Carnatic wars, right? Carnatic wars was fought between, just give me a minute, I'll just okay. Anyway, Carnatic wars were fought between, or we can start with Chanda Sahib itself. Chanda Sahib was the Mughal empire, what do you call, a subject of the Mughal Empire, and he was the Nawab of Carnatic between 1700, say 1749 to 1752. So he was actually this Carnatic in during the Carnatic wars, one of the, or the second Carnatic war. In the second Carnatic war, Chanda Sahib took the help of French. Okay, so you might have to revisit what do you call as the Carnatic war as a concept. I mean, at the static part itself first, then maybe whatever we see in the news, possibly. Okay, so we will look into it, how this person, this very missionary or the monk, he was friends with Chanda Sahib. So Chanda Sahib gifted Veerama Munivar or Constantine 4 villages in the Tiruchi district. So he also appointed him to office of Divan. He also conferred him on surname as Ismati Sannyasi, indicating his excellence as a religious devotee, and presented him with a palanquin used by his grandfather. All these terms, all these points are from the article itself. So that's why we are putting up here. So even though he was engaged in state affairs, Veerama Munivar continued his study of the Hindu sciences and composed several useful works. So he also delved deep into Tirukural, Naladiyar, Sivaka Sintamani. All these are the prominent celebrated Tamil Hindu works. So this monk was what made a deep study into all of the scriptures, or what you call as the texts, we can say. So this is the takeaway from the news. As I told you, Carnatic war will be very, very important. Okay, Carnatic war would be important, wherein especially the second Carnatic war we are talking about here. Second Carnatic war. Okay, anyway, this. Okay, second Carnatic war is what we are talking about. So this is a conflict which arose from a succession dispute. It was actually a succession dispute wherein for Nizam post in Hyderabad and Nawab's post in Carnatic. Okay, for Nizam in Hyderabad. So it was actually a war of succession, we say. Carnatic war was actually a war of succession wherein In Hyderabad, for the post of Nizam. In Karnataka, it was the post for the post of Nawab. So in Karnataka, it was Chanda Sahib, and in Hyderabad, it was Muzaffar Jung. Muzaffar Jung and what do you call as Nasir Jung. These are the personalities. So the entire events or a series of events takes place here between, basically, though we see it is the rivalry between the Nawab and the Nizams, but English and the French gained advantage over it. It is just kind of an excuse, or just kind of a reason for actually for the English and the French to get into the political affairs of India. Until then, they were given certain places for trade or permits and all that, but the very Indian rulers invited them to enter into political affairs, or they might be, or they were influenced by Indian what do you call as French and English. So both the very native rulers took the help of the foreign traders. We see that. So in this news, this is what we have, okay, regarding the personality. From the static perspective, look into what you call as Carnatic Wars. This is a takeaway from here. Not a very prominent what you call as news, I would say, when it comes to from the exam perspective I'm talking about. From when it comes to translation, many books will be released, but we are just connecting to the past events that has already taken place and his role, right? And taking the name of Chanda Sahib. This is what we have in the very first topic. So moving on, we have a small topic on art and culture, that is leather puppetry. So puppetry is a very important topic from art and culture perspective. This news is very simple. It is, the headline is the tribe rather than the art. We are not talking about the puppetry itself. The tribe of Andhra Pradesh, one of the tribes of the Andhra Pradesh who were well versed in leather puppetry are vanishing. The reason is quite interesting here. It is not because lack of patronage. Maybe lack of patronage is one of the reasons. But the article speaks about change in the religious profile. People who were actually practicing this leather puppetry were Hindus before, and because of the conversion or change in their faith, change in their religious profile, or maybe what do you call as the transition that has taken over in the last few years, has actually put a break for this practicing of leather puppetry. So when we speak of leather puppetry, we also have to look into the types of puppetry, other types of puppetry. So if you can, what do you call as mention some of the types of puppetry, names of the puppetry, any types, what you have heard or learned about, you can mention. Yes. Before we look into leather puppetry, or you can take your time, let us complete this part. So it is a very ancient art form, and the number of puppeteers residing on the banks of Buckingham Canal in Madhavapatnam, Gram Panchayat near Kakinada. So entire address is not required. So this particular leather puppetry was practiced in Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so this has dwindled, or it has become really low due to an unprecedented change in their religious profile. So majority of them embraced another faith, the article says so, and subsequently quit puppetry, which is purely based on Hindu mythological stories. So when it comes to certain art forms, most of the art forms in a way are related to religion or the faith. Maybe the tapestry, maybe if you take any embroidery, if you take any what do you call as handicrafts, in one or the other way in India, especially in India, it is related to a particular tribe, or maybe a caste, right, or a subcaste, or maybe at certain times religion itself. So this puppetry, basically the stories were derived out of Hindu mythological stories, or the narratives. But today, as they have changed their faith, as they can no longer follow the very faith, so this is an irony wherein the puppeteers have stopped, what do you call as, taking up this entire art form. And also, that doesn't mean that this is the only reason. Apart from that, the news also says that lack of patronage among the public. So less likely. How many puppetry show we see recently, or how many of us actually get to see the puppetry? Because, or maybe because of the a dying art form, we say, and also lack of patronage, or people are actually interested, driven towards watching this art form or encouraging it, it has gone. So it has totally vanished in India, we could say. Only in books we are studying about puppetries uh, in a different way, wherein what do you call us, trying to bring up here and there, maybe in some of the festivals, or maybe what do you call us, some events only we see such art forms today. So that is irony, that is disastrous, I would say. So leather puppetry was recently seen in news, and you should have to look into various forms of puppetry in India, maybe the names and the region. Like we have what do you call us, Togolu Bommalatam in Andhra Pradesh, Togolu Bombay Ata in Karnataka, or maybe Odisha's shadow puppetry is there, string puppetry is there, right? This is leather puppetry, types of puppetry, and some of the art forms which is prominently seen in news, which is seen in the previous year question paper. Okay, so that is, there is a possibility of this questions being asked from this area. So make sure that you look into it. Very small news, still just giving a focus or importance to the art form itself. Okay, then moving on, uh, regarding governance, from governance topic, recently, actually even before this news, that is Prime Minister to launch this program or a mission, that is Pradhan Mantri Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Group Development Mission. Even before it was launched, there was also in news wherein Prime Minister will be going to visit, or he'll be visiting the village of what do you call as the native of Birsa Munda, one of the tribal leaders, one of the prominent tribal leaders. So that was there, visiting there and then launching this program has gained a very important importance. So Prime Minister will launch, I think it has been launched, I mean it has been, they have the Prime Minister have visited already. So the program will be launched, and this is all about, the importance goes to whether it is a Prime Minister or the President, uh, both both of them. Okay, Prime Minister and the President. Mr. Narendra Modi becomes the first Prime Minister to visit this village, and even President Draupadi Murmu also becomes the first president to visit this village of Birsa Munda. That is one fact we have to keep in mind. And apart from this, importance to PVTG given, and choosing the apt area, apt place to start this mission from, because Munda community, or especially what do you call as this Odisha region or Central Indian region is known for, Central and Eastern Indian region is known for the presence of PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So already twice it's been asked, the questions has been asked on PVTG. Questions have been asked on PVTG regarding the factual aspects, and also indirectly connecting to the other tribes as well. So this topic still remains relevant and important. And again, we have a mission also, a program, a policy also. Then we have to give much importance to that. Okay, so the idea is, the occasion is on the birth anniversary of Birsa Munda, which has been celebrated already as Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. So birth anniversary of Birsa Munda is already been celebrated as Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, that is there. And here, from this, the launch of this scheme has been planned in Jharkhand's Kunti district after a visit to Ulihatu village. Ulihatu village is the birthplace of Birsa Munda. It is Birsa, it has become Bursa. Just the spelling mistake. Birsa Munda. Okay. So in addition to that, not only PM PVTG development mission, in addition to this, what do you call as yatra, or a journey, or there is a program, one more program that Prime Minister is going to launch, called as Vikasit Bharat Sankalp Yatra from Kunti district of Jharkhand. Okay, Birsa Munda's place, this Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, these are the regions wherein we have this Munda community or Ho or all these rebellions. What we have seen was this in the eastern part, the Chota Nagpur plateau. So from the Jharkhand district, this one more program called as Vikasit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. It is what do you call as a program in order to connecting 22,000 remote villages across 18 states and union territories. This is also added with the mission. Okay, so now the focus. This is the news regarding the mission and what should be the focus from the exam perspective. One thing is about the program. Okay, there are 3 points here, 3 aspects here. One thing is regarding the program. What is this program all about? PVTG development mission. Second thing is regarding some of the facts related to Birsa Munda, the tribal leader. And the third thing is again revisiting and revising certain important facts or points related to PVTG, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So these are the 3 dimensions we have to take it from this topic. So we'll see what is this development mission all about, the objective or the aim of this development mission, PVTG. So this is a 24,000 crore project which is aimed at the development of exclusively for PVTG, as the title of the scheme itself suggests. So it has been designed to bring critical infrastructure like power, water, road connectivity. So we can see what are the areas the government has chosen, like power, water, road connectivity, housing, education, and healthcare to the PVTG communities living in the remote villages. So what is being, we usually say that when we speak about FRA, Forest Rights Act of 2006, the very aim of enacting this Forest Rights Act of 2006, what we have today, was to undo or correct the historical injustice that happened because of the British to these communities, especially the tribal groups, tribal communities. So why we make PVTG stand out from the scheduled tribes themselves? Are they one and the same, or are they quite different from scheduled tribes? When it comes to most of the parameters, when it comes to most of the traditions and culture, they all come to same group. We together call it as scheduled tribes only. There is no such difference. We call them scheduled tribes itself. But PVTG has certain unique features where we draw a line between scheduled tribes and PVTGs. So they are more primitive, more backward when compared to scheduled tribes. At least we have, for when it comes to scheduled tribes, we have a commission, right? We have certain programs already launched. There are, I think by now, we can see education or literacy is improving in scheduled tribes, but that is not the case in PVTGs. So this is the reason more importance are given for them for their development, because PVTGs are one such group wherein they are away from the mainstream society mostly. That is the reason this connectivity, power, water, or housing and education, this will be improved under this mission. So under this scheme, about 11 interventions like other schemes are, which is already at this centrally sponsored schemes such as Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, the roads, right? Pradhan Mantri Gram Awas Yojana, that is housing. Then Jal Jeevan Mission, water, drinking water facilities, and others, wherever you name it, like education, it can be healthcare. All these will be taken to these target villages through the coordinated work of 9 ministries. Various ministries take up all these programs. So already launched program will be connected to this mission. What we already have, the same thing remains, but the focus will be on PVTG. In addition to this, saturation will be ensured for schemes such as Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, that is healthcare, sickle cell disease elimination, TB elimination, 100% immunization, PM Surakshit Matritva Yojana for lactating mothers, PM Matru Vandana Yojana, PM Poshan, PM Jandhan Yojana, that is financial inclusion. So all the schemes what we have seen, that wherein there are many beneficiaries who are making utilization of such schemes, will also be reached out to PVTGs. This is the holistic mission, we can call it, holistic scheme. That is what we can say. So in general, the takeaway, the crux would be, we are implementing various other schemes and policies under the name of PVTG development mission. This is one area, as I've already told you. So the second one is regarding who are PVTGs. Then we will speak about Birsa Munda. It would be good if you also give your inputs here. Okay, so PVTG, let's look into the basic detail of them. So PVTGs are the more vulnerable group among tribal groups in India. These are tribals. There is no doubt in it. You need not say that scheduled tribes are different, PVTGs are different. These are also as similar to the tribal group, scheduled tribes itself. This is one more category under them. Okay. So what are the parameters, on what basis we call them as PVTG? Okay. These are the second point. These are the parameters. They have primitive traits, geographical isolation, low literacy, 0 to negative population growth, backwardness. Okay, so we have five to six traits. So primitive traits, in the sense, what is primitive traits? Their traditions, their practices. Let's say agriculture. So many in India today, agricultural practices have been evolved. So scientific developments, we can see, technologies have been used by the farmers. This we can see. But when it comes to the tribal groups, this primitive tribal groups, who are they are still following very conventional and the age-old methods. They still use this digging, or the what do you call as, what we used ages back, like years back, 100 years back, what kind of agriculture was being followed. They still follow the same thing. No idea, no clue about the modern agricultural techniques. Primitive traits, not only in agriculture. If you say regarding the attire, the dressing, the diet, it may be hunting and gathering, would be still the same practice among these PVTGs. Then geographical isolation, in the sense, they do not come in contact much with the mainstream society. So wherever they are living, that would be the same place they would be living. There will be less lack of migration. There will be no migration as such. There is no entertaining the outsiders as well. So basically, they stay in the secluded groups, and they have this quite geographical isolation. They are found in a particular region. So low literacy also, because less likely people from this community would end up in schools, as they have this isolation. And they are not hostile or something. Some tribes would be, but they do not get or socialize with other groups or other tribes or other community, etc. This would make them very closed group, and it has led to low literacy also. The next one is 0 to negative population growth rate. That means basically their population is not thriving good. Maybe lack of healthcare facilities, lack of or maybe the practices what they follow in the current trend, the nature based, we do not have, for everything we do not have nature based solutions. Today we are switching to various scientific technologies in order to survive, in order to thrive. So maybe lack of healthcare facilities, the standard of living or the way of living, all this has led to, or immunity, lack of immunity to various diseases. So this has led to negative population growth rate. So it is dwindling. Next one is backwardness in all the way, economic, social backwardness, everything has led to call them as PVTG. So that is there. That is why we call them as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So moreover, they are largely dependent on hunting, as I told you already, for food and a pre-agricultural level of technology. Still, they follow hunting. Hunting in the sense, not the larger wild animals, the smaller mammals, depending upon the tribal traditions. So hunting is still a practice among PVTG, remember this. And when it comes to legalization, when it comes to constitutional provision or any other aspects, one should remember regarding this commission, what is the origin, what is the background of this bringing tribal groups, this particularly tribal group, as a different community altogether. In 1973, government set up a commission called as Debar Commission. So before, these PVTGs were called as primitive tribal groups. Today they are called as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Before they were called as PTG, primitive tribal groups, which was named or which was made as a category under Debar Commission in the year 1973. So in 1975, the center identified 52 tribal groups as PTGs according to the parameters what we have seen already. Primitive traits, geographical isolation, low literacy, all this. On this basis, 52 groups were identified in 1975. In 1993, more groups were added, right? So every year, looking at the parameters, we are adding what you call as the groups or these tribes into under what we call as PVTGs. So in 2006 only it was named as PVTG. Before they were called as primitive tribal groups. This is what we have to keep in mind. Today, the total number has raised to 75. So 2.8 million people or PVTGs are belonging to 75 tribes. So the total number of PVTGs we have in India is 2.8 million approximately. And total number of tribes are 75. This has already been asked in prelims before. There are 75 PVTGs in India, 75, okay? So these are the districts and the villages and the 18 states we have this PVTGs. So in India, according to the latest census or the census we have, Odisha has the largest population of PVTG. One should remember that, don't get confused with tribes and PVTGs. When it comes to scheduled tribes, we say Madhya Pradesh has the highest number. When it comes to PVTG, Odisha has the highest number. Okay, so according to the ranking, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh has the largest number of PVTGs. This includes Telangana, because in 2011, Telangana was still part of Andhra Pradesh. So including Telangana region also, we have this under top 3. Okay. Next, the census, after the census only, we'll be getting an idea about the recent numbers and the population. So the largest PVTG is Odisha's Saura community, numbering 5,35,000, wherein 5 million, wherein these are the largest tribe. Okay. So these are the details of PVTGs. Now speaking of Birsa Munda. Birsa Munda, it is not given. See, in the entire news, actually in this news, it is only about, as I told you already, you can see, it's only about the development mission, PVTG development mission. But we have to, in order to gain an extra edge, right, competitive edge, we should be understanding, we should be collecting what you call as facts or data from the peripheral aspects of the news as well. One is about the program, the other one is regarding PVTG. Hope you got the idea about PVTG. Yes, you can interact. Did you understand some idea about PVTG? Yes. Can you please respond? Anyway, okay. Speaking of Birsa Munda. So Birsa Munda is basically was a folk hero and a tribal freedom fighter hailing from the tribe called as Munda tribe. So why this particular tribe actually revolted against British in Jharkhand? What was the reason? The reason is because of what you call as the British grabbed away or took away the lands of these tribes and also made them as bonded laborers, especially the Munda tribes. We have n number of what you call as tribal revolts that have taken place at least from 1920s. So Munda rebellion, Munda revolt is basically because of, mostly the common reason would be grabbing away of the land, taking over the land, usurping the tribal autonomy over the forest. That means taking over actually tribals have the complete autonomy over the forest, had the complete autonomy of the forest. But British, in the name of certain laws and regulations, especially Indian Forest Act of 1927, right? So to divert the timber or natural resources of the forest in the name of legislation, these tribes were evicted. Forceful eviction was happening. This was there. So considering this, the tribes could no longer bear this because they were sent away from their very homes. Forest was their home, and they were sent away and they were evicted. And not only that, going an extra mile, making them as bonded laborers. So this made many tribes to revolt against the British, where Mundas were also one in Jharkhand. Okay, so Birsa Munda, basically, I have not added here. I'm just discussing with you. I thought you will give me inputs. All of you are silent mostly. So anyway, so Munda rallied against the tribals to fight against this actions of the British. And basically, as I told you, these tribals were turned into bonded laborers, which made them even more poor. So as a reaction to this, and not only that, even British introduced zamindari system in these areas, and or permanent settlement system, what do we call. So in Birsa Munda in the year 1894, I don't know, my pencil is not working. Just give me a minute. I'll just. Okay. So this Birsa Munda, actually, the main reaction was against the introduction of the zamindari system. And in the year 1894, this, what do you call as the Munda Rebellion. Munda Rebellion was launched, and there is a term for that. There's a term for that called as Ulugulan, Ulgulan, Ulugulan, wherein it is also called as revolt, that was launched against the British. So basically, Birsa Munda, the other idea about Birsa Munda, the other facts is he propagated the principles of Hindu religion, that is there, and he died at the very young age of 25, right? So, and has his struggle against exploitation and discrimination, it was a big hit against the British government, especially in the Chota Nagpur area. So in the recognition of his importance or impact on the national movement, the state of Jharkhand started celebrating his birth anniversary in the year 2000. 2000 was the year wherein Jharkhand gave importance to Birsa Munda, and then this birth anniversary was celebrated. Then on November 15th, that is recently the birth anniversary, okay, November 15th, central government in the year 2021 marked it as Janjatiya Divas, what we saw. So birth anniversary of Birsa Munda, from 2021, central government has recognized it and called it as Janjatiya Divas, which is not only it is about Birsa Munda, it is also what do you call as a connection with various tribal leaders who revolted against the British. It may be zamindari, it may be our permanent settlement, it may be bonded labor, it may be forceful eviction. Different tribes have had different or multiple reasons, and this is the news regarding this person, Birsa Munda, Munda Rebellion, PVTGs, etc. Why? Because we go back to the news again, because the Prime Minister visited his birthplace of Birsa Munda, and rest all the other points, other topics has been added here. Okay, from one article we get so many other areas to cover up. So here we only static part you have to look into is go back to tribal rebellions, tribal revolts. Make sure that know at least the tribal revolt and the leader of the revolt or the rebellion. Very, very important. Okay, so moving on to the next one, that is governance. One station, one product scheme. One station, one product scheme was recently in news, wherein this is related to Indian Railways, and it is quite unique and also very good initiative by the Indian Railways. This is actually an initiative by Indian Railways, which provides uniquely designed sale outlets for locals. So basically promoting the local products, indigenous products, that is the idea of one station, one product scheme. Okay, today this scheme is operational at 1037 stations nationwide, and it was actually launched last year, made in the month of May. And initially it was started as a pilot project, but as it gained more popularity, this was launched nationwide. So what is this all about? What is this one station, one product scheme? So one station, one product scheme is all about focusing, promoting local artisans, local products in the railway stations, providing them outlets in the railway stations. So this is a common or basic awareness topic, I would say. So all of you, when all of us, when we visit or when we are traveling, especially by train, and we have certain stalls, right? Stalls or outlets where we buy products from. So today, mostly the products what you see in railway stations, if you have observed, mostly these are locally produced ones. Less likely you will get, maybe if any beverages, any snacks, any items you see, all are manufactured or produced by the local people, or from the locals itself. This is to promote them, at least in these areas, at least in the railway stations, wherein it can, what do you call as, strengthen their livelihood. So when it was announced, we will see the background. The OSOP, that is One Station, One Product scheme, was announced in the Union Budget in the year 2022-23. That Union Budget aims to enhance livelihoods through skill development for local artisans, weavers, and craftsmen, not only for the certain products, eateries, but also any craft products also being promoted here. Okay, so sale outlets are provided at stations nationwide, allotted through tendering process. So it is kind of an auction, how we get outlets in the public places, any in maybe take a mall or something, or any major complex, a tender will be called, auction will be called off. So even here also, those who want to have an outlet in the railway stations, that happens through tender process. Most of the government schemes goes through the same method. This is also in a similar way. So some of the key points from this, what do you call as, scheme is, it is an initiative by the Indian Railways. You have to keep in mind, if the statement goes like this, it is an initiative by, what do you call as, different agency or different ministry. Keep in mind, by the Indian Railways under the Ministry of Railways itself exclusively. It was launched with the vision to promote vocal for local, voice for local. So it provides uniquely designed sale outlets for locals to sell indigenous products nationwide. And the scheme is designed by the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. There's also a institution along with Ministry of Railways. It aims to build each railway station as a promotional hub and showcasing local and indigenous manufacturing products. As I've already mentioned, I told you the crux of it. I'm just reading it for you so that you keep that in mind. Under the scheme, the allotment is done to all eligible applicants on a rotational basis. It is not that here, sometimes in most of the areas, bribery happens. But here there is a process wherein allotment will be given, and on a rotational basis for a certain time period, a contract. And again, tender will be called for. So that every person, every manufacturers or artisans are getting an opportunity to trade, to market their products, and also to strengthen their livelihood. Very simple topic, but just to know, have an awareness, what is this program all about? It is part of the governance topic. Okay, moving on. Under governance, we have next topic, that is Digital Advertisement Policy 2023. Is been approved by Union government recently. We will see what is this digital advertisement. All of us know today, OTT platform, social media, all are well aware of it. But there is a policy that has been brought out by central government, wherein regarding the digital media space, when it comes to YouTube or any OTT platforms, what we use. Okay, we will see what is it. So the Union government has approved a new policy allowing its advertising wing, the Central Bureau of Communication, to undertake advertisement campaigns on social media. So various social media campaigns, now CBC, that is Central Bureau of Communication, can take up advertisement campaigns on social media, is what the central government has given a permission to. And the ministry that is concerned with this policy is Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Remember, it is the ministry that is concerned, or the agency advertising wing, that is Central Bureau of Communication, comes under Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So it enables and empower the CBC to undertake campaigns in the digital media space. What is this? What is the implication? What is the significance of it? So when we speak of ad campaign, starting from, let's go back to 10 years back, When we speak of any advertisements, it would be mostly on TV channels, especially the government advertisements would be in the government funded channels, in the sense not funded, I would say, the government news channels, or maybe in the radio. So today the ministry has enabled agency, that is CBC, not only in these platforms like TV or radio, this communication networks or mass media, but also we have reached to as online or digital media. So that is the significance here. So CBC, when we speak of CBC, what is this role? It is the unit of it is one of the wing under the ministry itself. It is an agency. So it has a mandate of providing 360 degrees of communication solution to ministries, departments, and all this related to mass media, related to communication, mass communication, right? So the focus should be going. The focus should be given to digital advertisement policy. Its key points. What is it exactly? What it aims to do? We will see that. Okay. So why there is a need for it? And so digital advertising refers to marketing through online channels such as websites, streaming content, and more. Digital ads span media formats including text, image, audio, and video. Now, the government of India's Digital India program has led to a huge growth in the number of people in the country who are connected to internet, social, and digital media platforms. So, the program we are connecting to this policy is something called as Digital India program, which was launched few years back, right? So this, because of this Digital India program, every person today, nobody says that we do not know what is internet. So obviously everybody are connected under this program. So using social media platforms, we use websites, streaming content, etc. So as per Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, that is TRAI, the internet penetration in India is, as of March 2023, is over 880 million people. There we have netizens or internet users. So the Digital Advertisement Policy 2023 has been formulated after a wide-ranging discussion with multiple stakeholders. It improves information dissemination to the citizens. That is the need for this. This is the background what I've read for you. Now, reaching out to people through Digital India program under a policy called as Digital Advertisement Policy. So advertisements are no longer restricted to anymore to TVs or radios or magazines or newspapers, which is mass media, but also we are entering or we are focusing on online platforms also, so that awareness or information dissemination, it can be anything. It can be related to schemes. It can be related to any awareness programs. It can be related to any the schemes of the other policies of the government. So that would reach out through digital media. That is the main aim of this digital advertisement policy. So just an awareness is important. Maybe question can be asked to very basic level. No static part, very technical part of it will not be asked as per the information we see here. Just to know what is digital advertisement policy. Digital advertisement policy is nothing but Government of India taking, entering the digital media, the internet, to disseminate information to citizens. As simple as that. Okay, that is it. Then moving on, we'll talk about some geography topic here. Mount Etna, volcanoes. So Mount Etna is one of the active volcanoes. So we go back to the static part. Before that, we will see what is this, why it is in news and all that. So the news speaks about, it was on Indian Express actually. Mount Etna, which is one of the world's most active volcanoes. We have a number of other active volcanoes as well, which was causing public concern as well. Like it started erupting recently in Italy. In Italy, we have Mount Etna. So it's been spewing or erupting recently, which is a public concern because volcanoes, in the sense, obviously the output would be, it vents out large or huge amount of sulfur. Again, sulfur is an air pollutant, and various compounds of sulfur is a greenhouse gas, or it causes acid rain. We have a number of consequences to it. So active volcanoes, when it spews lava and frequently, that is a concern. That is definitely a concern. And the time during a given year, there may be as many as 50 to 80 fresh eruptions around the world. Every year there will be 50 to 80 eruptions that happens. And data from Smithsonian Institution, one of the global organization, has provided that in the first 6 months of 2023, 56 volcanoes have erupted. 56 volcanoes. We say volcanoes. Somewhere we say that volcanic eruption is one of the natural, events or disasters that takes place. Sometimes it can be harmful, sometimes, directly harmful. Sometimes it directly reaches the atmosphere and cause other consequences. But only within 6 months, 56 volcanoes have erupted this year. So what is its implication? What is happening? That has to be addressed here. In November 2023, shifting magma under the Earth's crust triggered hundreds of earthquakes around the town of Grindavik in Iceland also. So with seismologists warning that the quakes could be the precursor to a volcanic eruption. So we could also say that scientists will understand the eruption or erupting volcanoes by understanding the tremors that takes place before. So can we say that earthquakes are the precursor? You might have to write this line or take down this. Earthquakes can be a precursor to volcanoes, isn't it? So through this tremors, through this movement, Earth's crust movement or magma, shifting magma, or the tremors is what, or the quakes is what make us to understand whether there is a volcano in future that is going to erupt or in the nearby active volcanic area. So this gives an information. So you can consider this topic as places in news as well, which is in Italy. You can also you have to look into various active volcanoes around the world, or maybe the recent volcanic eruptions. Match the pairs question on match the in form of match the pairs can be asked, or maybe in sentences, statements focusing on volcanoes itself can be asked. So anything. So take volcano as a static topic, Mount Etna and other active volcanoes as dynamic topic. Keep a tab on some of the recent active volcanoes that has erupted this year, because it is in news. Okay, so we will see some points regarding Mount Etna. So it is Europe's most active volcano and one of the largest in the world. Okay, it is in Italy, in Europe. You can see the map here, where exactly it is. Then its recorded volcanic activity dates back to 1500 BC, one of the ancient, very old. It is on the eastern coast of Sicily. Okay, on this one of the cities of Italy. So it is the highest Mediterranean island mountain, also most active stratovolcano in the world. Types of volcano is what you have to look into. What is a stratovolcano? If you can answer. It is about 3,326 meters high, and it is the highest peak in Italy, south of the Alps. So there are attributes to this Mount Etna. Okay, not only Mount Etna. In the past few months, we have seen that what do you call as some of the active volcanoes in Hawaii, right? Mauna Lea, Mauna Kea. All these are the active volcanoes that we have seen in the recent past. So you might have to make a list of it. So what is a volcano basically? I have added some of the points here. We will discuss about that as well. What is a volcano? What is the meaning of a volcano? So volcano, when we speak of a volcano, it is a natural event that takes place because of the movement of the magma in the Earth's crust, and it vents out in forms of gas or lava solidified, and later it gets solidified. Maybe in your geography part, you have learned what is a volcano and types of volcano. Yet we will look into it, some of the key points for you to go and revise. Okay, so volcanoes are what you call as mountain ranges like the Andes in South America, Rockies in North America, as well as volcanoes formed through the movement and collision of the tectonic plates. Today's mountain ranges are nothing but the contribution of volcanic eruption, we say, right? Even the Deccan Plateau of India is also because of the result of volcanic eruption. So any geomorphological changes we have seen throughout the years, or maybe since the evolution or the formation of the continents, most of the places, the very idea, the very precursor of this formation is is because of, or we can call it as volcanoes are the reasons. So there are four main types of volcanoes. Here I have taken up cinder cone, composite or stratovolcanoes, shield volcanoes, and lava domes. So Mount Etna is an example of stratovolcanoes. So your task is to go look into what is the meaning of cinder, composite or strato, shield volcanoes, and lava domes. Just because, just that they are categorized on the basis of, you can say, their type is determined by how the lava from an eruption flows, how it flows, how the flow affects the volcano, and how it surrounds the environment, whether it forms a crater, large crater, small crater, whether it bursts, whether it flows gently. All these are the parameters. So on this basis, we have these types. So you have to go look into what is cinder, what is composite, what is shield, and what is lava. Very, very important. Okay. So apart from that, how does volcano erupt? I've just added some of the points, asking you. Nowhere I got the answer, but still I'm still continuing my effort to make you speak, or maybe you can interact. Only if you interact, it would be easier for me to go forward. So how do volcanoes erupt? How do volcanoes erupt? What is the reason? So basically, it is a case of a magma, as I told you, a molten rock below the surface of the earth. They bubble up, they rise, they overflow. It's just like a boiling milk. Yes, by pressure release mechanism. Good. Exactly. So the magma finds its way to the vents. What are vents? The opening of VENT. Vent is the opening of the volcano. So it gets spewed across, or thrown across, or poured out across the land. And the magma, that the fluid that comes out of the volcano, is called as lava. Can we say volcanoes are particularly active in Pacific Ring of Fire? Pacific Ring of Fire, wherein some of the places such as New Zealand, Southeast Asia, Japan, West Coast of Americas, all these are the places where we see, or Pacific Ring of Fire is the most active volcanic areas. And 90% of all the earthquakes, 90% of all the earthquakes are found on Pacific Ring of Fire of the world. 90% of the earthquakes are found on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Pacific Ring of Fire is also a static part again. This is what the volcanoes, and the concept of volcanoes we are talking about. Apart from that, how do scientists predict if there is a possibility of active volcano to erupt in the future? What is the precursor? As I've just mentioned it, I'm just asking you again. What is a precursor to understand that, or scientists to understand that volcanoes are going to erupt, or any active region? So it's basically the precursor, as I've already told you, it is the tremor, it is the earthquake, okay, the seismic, exactly, the seismic or seismological activity. So scientists are capable of predicting volcanic eruption in within few hours sometimes, or sometimes several days in advance, right? So if at all, sometimes not all the volcanic eruption happens with the prediction of earthquakes, remember. Okay, it will not happen always with the prediction of the earthquakes. Only certain volcanoes can be predicted. Only certain volcanoes can be predicted. What do you call as with the presence of earthquakes or the tremors we feel. Apart from that, it can be only understood by the flow of the lava or the magma that has happened in the past, and possibility. That is how the prediction works. Just keep this in mind. Not all the volcanic eruptions can be predicted with the precursor of earthquake. Only wherever certain volcanic eruptions where earthquake is a reason, then it can be predicted before several hours, or maybe at least several days. But when it comes to the volcanoes which has no longer nothing to do with the tremors, they erupt. So they will not come under these predictions. So in that time, what will the scientists do? So what is the mechanism? So they will monitor the ground for signs of deformation, any deformation that has happened, any gas emissions that has taken place, any changes in the gravity, any changes in the magnetic field. This is also a method for the scientists to understand whether the volcanic eruption is going to happen or not. Okay, if the statement is given, it is not always because of earthquake. It can also because of the studies that has been made on the land deformations, gravity, magnetic field, and all that. Okay, so going back to the topic again, revisiting it, saying that Mount Etna is in news. Look into active volcanoes, look into types of volcanoes, and basic idea about the volcanoes. Clear with this? Yes. We move on to the next one. That is red sanders. So red sanders every year it is in news. Okay, red sanders almost every year this is in news. And what is the news about this red sanders? Why should we know about it? Yes. Yes. Especially smuggling, it is in news. It will be in news usually. But today, in this news, we are looking into, we are associating with the convention sites or sites. So recently, the Union Environment Minister, okay, so has mentioned, has announced that red sanders, yes, it is endangered. Good, it is endangered. And we will see regarding the facts. Regarding the facts, regarding red sanders, we will just look into the news first. Then we will go back to what are the static topic we have to collect. So red sanders is basically a tree, Eastern Guard tree, and the news is regarding this particular species has been removed from a committee called as RST, that is Review of Significant Trade. There is a what do you call as a provision under CITES. CITES is a convention, international convention. India is a member. India is a party to it. From after so many years, after continuously asking for it, once we see, the thing is, once we are part of a convention, we have to abide by the rules and regulations, abide by the provisions. So according to the what do you call as provisions of CITES, there is a concept called as review of significant trade. If certain species, because the convention is all about trade only, no doubt in it, but how the trade has to be done, whether how it has to be regulated, that is the question here. Now red sanders was under the list of review of significant trade because red sander is endemic to Eastern Ghats. It is found only in Eastern Ghats, especially in Andhra Pradesh. And continuous, if we are using this endangered species for continuous trade, then it might threaten the population of the tree. So the sites brought that under review of significant trade, wherein it should be regulated. Of course, even today, even though it is under the international convention, it is under the review, doesn't mean that it is free from threat or smuggling, etc. But on the other way, okay, let's say because of smuggling and other threats, we have to safeguard this tree. But on the other side, there are people who are dependent on this tree for their livelihood. So that is why government kept on asking for to be what you call as this red sanders to be removed from a list called as review of significant trade. We will see what is it. And before that, we can see this has helped the farmers who are growing red sanders. That means in India, it has been protected. It is a scheduled species. Okay. In India, under WPA, it is protected. IUCN, it is classified. And sites also, it has been enlisted. So no doubt in it, wherein we are not losing out the protection for it. We are just promoting the, what do you call as the farmers who grow it, wherein it is legally considered legal with a certification, with a license, with a permit. Farmers can grow it for the economic benefit. Now, why this is a significant move for India, or especially for the farmers? Because CITES has a process called as RST. It enables disciplinary action in the form of trade suspensions directed at countries that do not meet their obligation. When any species that come under RST, review of significant trade, what happens is the countries has to face a disciplinary action, especially the countries which are part of CITES, has to face a disciplinary action when they do not meet their obligation. Because it is like you have the resources, you can trade it, but some regulations is there, like some stringent actions will be taken. So Indian government do not wanted it because if there is strict measures, less likely there will be promotion or that we can help the farmers in India. That is the reason India kept on asking for to remove red sanders from RST process. Now let's see the facts regarding red sanders. Okay, so it is a flora species. It is a tree. You can see here, as because of the color, it is called red sandalwood. Also, it is called. These are endemic to a distinct tract of forest in Eastern Ghats. They are not found in Western Ghats. Remember, red sandals are found only in Eastern Ghats, in the region of Andhra Pradesh. So climatic condition, Eastern Ghats climatic condition. Or if it is given as Eastern Ghats, remember that it is only found in Eastern Ghats, or indirectly it is given the features of this plant of tree itself given. So you should know the climatic condition. It usually grows in rocky, degraded and fallow lands with red soil. It requires red soil, hot and dry climate. So it is a kind of tree which grows in deciduous forest. Okay. So protection status, IUCN, it is endangered. CITES, it is appendix 2, not appendix 1. CITES has 3 appendices, 1, 2 and 3. 1 is absolutely protected, only allowed for research and education. Maybe by this time you might have come across CITES convention. I'm just briefing it out. All might have heard about CITES convention. Okay, very important, because Wildlife Protection Act of 2022, the Amendment Act, has added CITES under Schedule 4. Okay, we are following this national, what do you call as CITES regulations, and by adding into Schedule 4, very important. So this convention will be, can be, there is a possibility, there is a question this time on CITES directly or indirectly. Under 1972 Act, it is under Schedule 4. We are yet to see in the coming, the amended Act, this plant, this tree comes under which schedule. The previous one, it was in Schedule 4 only. That means we have that this in abundance. Though it is shown as endangered, we have it in abundance, no trouble with that. But if the rampant illegal smuggling happens, especially the movie Pushpa has shown the entire theme. I mean, theme of this movie is regarding red sandals only. I'm sure that you have watched it and you are trying to connect with it. It's the same thing. So, what do you call as? These are the basic details. So, apart from that, what do you call as? Other important point is why we are worried about it, because it has a very slow growth rate. It grows very slowly, not like other trees in the deciduous forest. Okay. And it takes at least 25 to 40 years to mature. Maturity only reaches only when they are like grow up to like 40 years only, the mature stages wherein you can use it for any purpose, any applications. So what are the applications we have? What do you call as from red sanders? So red sanders are used in coloring agents for textiles, medicines and food also. In medicines it is used, in textiles it is used, and also food. So it has especially in furniture also, not only this, in furniture also we use, because of its red hue, red dye, it is called as santalin. Okay, santalin, it is called as santalin. And this what do you call as heartwood, the very wood has a very red hue, vibrant red. It looks good on furnitures, in dyeing agent for textiles, and also used in as medicinal purpose. Rakta Chandana we say in Kannada, or maybe in other languages also. Rakta Chandana. So it is endemic to Eastern Ghats, remember, and some of these points. Okay, so this is basic part of it. Speaking of CITES or CITES itself, as I've told you already, today red sandals are under Appendix 2, means it is being traded, and removing it has given boost to farmers so that they can take up what do you call as growing of the trees. And when it comes to CITES, there is one more question to be asked. Is what do you call as CITES provisions, the country, whether the country is mandated or binding to follow the CITES provision in India? Is there any is it binding in nature? The convention is binding in nature for the countries which have become the parties to the convention. What do you think regarding the CITES? See, remember this word, they have to implement the convention. Once the parties sign this convention, they have to implement the convention. They can include the rules and regulations. That means implement in the sense, include the rules and regulations of the convention in any of the laws, what we have done today under WPA, but it will not take the place of the law or the national law. It is not that it will remove one thing and sites will be added here. Sites can be fused or added to the already existing national laws. That is the kind of implementation we do. And it is binding on members. It is binding on parties. Once you become the parties to the sites, to this convention, it has to be followed. That is the reason we kept on asking to, what do you call as this review process, red sanders to be removed. If it is removed, then no disciplinary action, trade can be taken up easily so that it will enhance the livelihood of the farmers. This is what, okay. So look into the static part of sites as the convention. Red sanders, if you had more points, you can, if you have more points, you can add to it. Okay. So takeaway from this topic is sites and red sanders. This is what we have. Yes. So next is the topic of Global Tiger Recovery Program. So this Global Tiger Recovery Program, we have to go back to 2010. What is this program all about to see, and what is its implication in India? And this article was given on Down to Earth magazine, Down to Earth, and we will have a brief idea about this. Before that, we will take a 5 minutes break and then we will continue. Okay, we'll take 5 minutes break, then we shall continue. Okay, we shall continue. So this Global Tiger Recovery Program is okay. So Global Tiger Recovery Program is in news recently, and the news is regarding 60% increase in overall tiger population, but habitat and biodiversity loss threatening Southeast Asian big cats. So speaking about tigers, we know that 3 species of tigers are extinct. That is, they are wiped off from the face of the earth, and only 6 are extant. That is remaining. So in mostly in Asia, especially we call it as tiger ranging countries, right? So Southeast Asia, including India, Russia, all the way from Russia, we have Siberian tiger or Amur tiger. We have so various countries, Asian countries, we have these big cats. But the report says, or the recent what do you call as the article says that tiger population has increased, no doubt in it. Maybe at least from early 2000s, if you consider, it is much better, but it still threatens the presence of or the survival of the big cats. Let's look into the concept now. So as per the report submitted under GTRP 2.0, this is a second version. Then what is the first version? We should know about it. So it is the overall tiger population has increased 60%. So this global tiger recovery program has evolved back in 2010. It is not the recent one. Today we are having the second version of it. It is 2.0. So 2010, what happened? So 13 tiger ranging countries met in St. Petersburg in Russia in order to, what do you call as, take up a challenge called as T into 2. T into 2. That is doubling the tigers population. Doubling the tigers population within 2022. That was a target year. And T into 2, it's been already asked in exam once, and maybe under Project Tiger as a static part. I remember some of the batches have mentioned that. And 2022 was a target year wherein these 13 ranging countries was given a target to double their population what they had in 2010. When it comes to India's Tigers program, NTCA, that is National Tiger Conservation Authority, was established in 2006 as a statutory body under WPA, Wildlife Protection Act. Only after that, we actually took up conservation, wherein in 2006 it was like 1,000 odd tigers in India. Today we have 3,000 odd tigers. That is because of the continuous efforts of the government, especially NTCA as an authority, NBWL and the ministry and all the state governments' effort to protect the habitat of the tigers and also double its population. So we have achieved the target. It was 1,700 odd tigers what we had in what you call as in 2010, but today we have 3,000 odd tigers. Not only doubled it, maybe more than that, beyond doubling the population, we have done it. This is one thing that we have to be proud of, but still the threat remains same. That is the reason we are still having this second version of Global Tiger Recovery Program. So as I've mentioned, Global Tiger Recovery Program started in 2010 itself. This is the second version of it. What was the initiative taken there? 13 tiger ranging countries signed a program called as T into 2 to double the population what they had before. In 2018-19, Nepal doubled its population because Nepal is also one of the tiger ranging countries. India became the second country. To double the population of tigers. So other countries are also falling in line, right? So and also one more fact to remember, it was 2010 July 29th. These countries met, and that is the reason today we celebrate Global Tigers Day on July 29th. 2010, these countries met under this program, Global Tiger Summit, Global Tiger Recovery Program, T into 2 program. And because of this, on this occasion, we celebrate today Global Tigers Day, right? So recently the submissions were made under GTRP 2.0 and cites that aim to pave the way for tiger conservation from 2023 to 2034. Now this is the second version. 2022 is over, target year is over. Now the next set, that is 2023 to 34, will be the next timeline that we are going to recover the tiger population. All right. So we will see other important points regarding this global tiger recovery program. What is this? So it has been formed by the tiger ranging countries through intergovernmental platform, along with collaborators such as WWF. There is a forum called as Global Tiger Forum, and collaborative initiative also about WWF, Worldwide Wildlife Fund. So it emphasizes on strengthening tiger governance, enhancing resources, protection, human wildlife conflict. All these are addressed, and for the upcoming years, it has paved the way. So which are the 13 tiger ranging countries? It is Bangladesh, Bhutan, Cambodia, China, India. You can see the Southeast Asian countries: Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Nepal, Russia, Thailand, and Vietnam. So Asian countries have joined together for this program. And in India, when it comes to exam perspective, what should we learn? In India, we have to give importance to the Project Tiger, the recent tiger estimation. Today, we have this 5th tiger estimation. So far, it started from 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018, then 19, I think 18, 19 we did not have, it was, 19, it was 19, 20, it got delayed, and 2023 was the estimation because of the COVID. We have this 2023 estimation. So from the exam perspective, look into Tiger Estimation Report 2023. Excuse me. Tiger Estimation Report 2023 should be your source, wherein you have list of what you call as tiger reserves, wherein well managed, which state has the highest tiger reserves, and what you call as how many tiger reserves are there. If I may ask you, how many tiger reserves are there? What is the number? What is the number? There are 54 tiger reserves today in India. Okay, 54 tiger reserves, wherein yes, good. 54th is Virangana Durgavati in Madhya Pradesh. Total, we have 54 tiger reserves, and all these tiger reserves are established by NTCA, but with the approval of NBWL. National Board for Wildlife has to approve. National Tiger Conservation Authority will recommend. Both of these authority play a very important role in establishing tiger reserves. So tiger itself is a very important topic from the exam perspective. Anything, tiger reserves, this global tiger recovery program, or maybe anything associated with estimation. In estimation, what you will get is basically the popular tiger reserves names. Okay, anything associated or terms or the technology we have used for tiger census, what we call as M stripes. You might have heard about it, monitoring the tigers tracking, or we use this app. This is an app basically, M stripes, MSTRIPS. It's an acronym. So I couldn't write on the screen. I don't know why. So that's I'm just mentioning it. Okay. So it's a technology. It is an app to locate or track the movement of the tigers, which is helping us in what you call as estimation, census. So those points, it could be anything and everything related to tigers becomes important. Make sure that you keep a tab on it. And this is the latest information we have at the global level. Okay. So moving on, we have a next, that is species in news you can consider. Elusive Attenborough's long-beaked echidna was recently in news. I have taken this topic or this particular news exclusively because maybe question will not be asked on the species. Question will not be asked on which part it was rediscovered and all that. Simple question on, because we have already seen question on marsupials in previous prelims. Echidna is a group again. It is also a different types of species which look similar to porcupine, but there are some differences. And it is in what you call as only some part it is endemic. So today we are talking about it, and it is named after the famous British naturalist Sir David Attenborough, wherein it is named after him. So we will see what are the key points from this. Okay. And also importance goes to this point wherein rediscovered in the sense, people, or according to the reports, we think that okay, it is extinct, it is no longer alive. So when it is rediscovered, it gains attention, wherein it gives more scope for the further studies. Okay, when we say elusive means escaping in nature, not easily spotted, very difficult to spot them. Why most of the species, when they are elusive, we come to a conclusion that they are no longer alive, or because of the reports, it is very difficult to, I mean, it takes years together for the scientists and the experts to wait in the forest. It is actually a tiresome task, it is not an easy task, rediscovering an long lost species, we say. Okay, so let's look into it. So elusive in the sense escaping, not easily spotted. A long beak echidna, which was feared extinct after disappearing for 6 decades, 60 years, has been rediscovered in a remote part of Indonesia. The other name for this echidna is Sir David's long-beak echidna, or Cyclops long-beak echidna. And as I've mentioned already, it is named in the honor of naturalist Sir David Attenborough. Okay, so this is what we have in the news. We will look into the key points. This is, it looks like, you can see the spine, the what do you call it, like how we have it on the porcupine, we have it like that here, right? So we'll see. So it is one of the 3 species from the genus Zaglossus that inhabits the island of New Guinea. It is the smallest echidna species. Now the question is, before we go to the other points, what are echidnas? How are they different? They look like porcupine only, right? So how are they different from what do you call as porcupines? Are they one and the same? Do they belong to the same genus? All these questions come in. Why am I focusing on this? Because as I told you, what do you call, questions on basics will be asked. As questions on marsupials is being asked, definitely there is a chance wherein basic question on like this, there is a possibility. So echidna, is echidna porcupine? No, they are very different from a porcupine, wherein porcupines are actually rodents. They come under rodents, remember. Okay, but echidna is a marsupial. That is the reason I'm giving more importance to this, because marsupials have already been asked. Okay, so these are marsupials, that is one thing, and porcupines are rodents, second thing. And echidna cannot eject their spines. What you can see on them, the spines or thorns or thorn like, these are called as spines. They cannot eject like porcupine does it. Okay, and echidnas are found all over Australia, including Tasmania. Of course, we know that marsupials are found in some major in Australia and some part of South America also, right? Marsupials are found in Australia mainly, and in South America and Central America, but this is found in Australia and including Tasmania, the entire Oceania, we say. Okay, so I want you to look into more differences between what is this porcupine, what is echidna, and more details, basic details of it, as I've mentioned it already. See, this they cannot eject, they are not defensive in nature like porcupine. Okay, so it lives in the Cyclops Mountains, which are near the cities of Sentani and Jayapura in Indonesia province of Papua. What we have found recently is, like in the New Guinea, in the Southeast Asian region, right? In the Australian entirely we can find this echidna, but today this is the news because it is in Indonesia. And the other features of echidnas are, these are nocturnal and shy, making them difficult to find at best of the times. They are very difficult to spot. And it appears so unlike other mammals. It is because it is member of monotremes. Monotremes means an egg-laying group which separated from the rest of the mammal tree of life about 200 billion years ago. Monotremes are egg-laying group, egg-laying mammals. Can you give me an example of egg-laying mammal? Egg-laying mammal. Again, this was also one of the options in previous year prelims. Monotremes are egg-laying mammals. Yes. What is an example? So anyway, it is there. Platypus is one more example. If you have heard of it, platypus, egg-laying mammal it is. Okay, so make a note of it. A conservation status, it is critically endangered because of its number. Sites, it is appendix 2. Sites also it has been listed. Okay, as is at the international level. From the exam perspective, as I'm repeating again, echidna as a species, its features. Or marsupials, again, you can go back to the same thing, or egg-laying mammals. So these are its features. They will not ask about the genus, they'll not ask about the name of the species, simply go back to the basics. As simple as that. Okay, so this is what we have from this area. Then moving on, one more news at the national level, that is, it can be science and tech and also environment. Okay, so recently a young researcher has divulged the secret of how one of the smallest green algae, Picocystis salinarum, survives the harshest of the conditions by resorting to physiological adaptation to highly saline condition. I'll just make it very precise. The news is regarding one of the researchers. Okay, one of the research scholars, research fellow, has identified, has understood how this Picocystis salinarum, it is the name of the alga or algae species, it survives the harshest of the condition. Harshest means we call extreme condition. What is the extreme condition for algae? Algae needs some nutrition. Algae is photosynthetic species, photosynthetic, or it is a photosynthetic organism which takes up photosynthesis, which is very important as any other plant. But today, this particular species, it has been identified that they are trying to adapt to highly saline condition, which is not quite normal or natural for any algae, and it has its own implication. So this have paved way for the promising future candidate for biotechnological applications like algal byproducts and increasing salt tolerance in plants. Now plants are trying to, some of the plants, not all the plants are salt tolerant, only some of them are there. If algae is thriving such, can thrive in salt tolerant, what do you call it, as salt tolerant species, or in the salty areas, how it helps in, and what is an environmental implication, we are looking into it. Okay, so no question on this molecular mechanism will be asked, because she has decoded it, the person has decoded it, but question will be asked on what are extremophiles, what is what do you call as picophiles. We look into it. I'll explain this now. Picocystis salinarum, P. salinarum or Picocystis salinarum, is a globally widespread extremophile. What is the meaning of extremophile? Any species that are able to withstand extreme conditions are called as extremophile. The word, remember the word. Next is, it is a picoplanktonic green algae. What is picoplanktonic? Smaller in the micron size, very smaller, very tiny, very tiny. That is why, these are called as picoplanktonic. Okay, picoplanktonic. So it was spotted recently for the first time in India only in Sambhar Lake. That is also one more implication here you have to look into. So when we look into these points, okay, when we look into these points, what are its climatic implication? Why does it matter? Why it is? Yes, why it is important to us? Why should we focus on this? Because, see, applications, carbon capture, biomass production, and understanding of molecular adaptations in extremophiles. That means if we get to know that certain algae can thrive in extreme conditions and they can tolerate salt or saline conditions, that means it paves way for to understand, because not all the plants can, as I've mentioned, not all the plants can thrive in saline condition. What if we have a photosynthetic organism which can capture carbon, which helps in tackling the climate change or tackling the emission of greenhouse gases? Because we are trying to find out n number of, or trying to strengthen or basically enable carbon sinks today in the world, be it forest, be it ocean, be it soil. If you have it is like kind of a storage unit. Photosynthesis, we already know it is a basic idea wherein carbon is absorbed by the plants during the preparation of food. If algae can thrive well, if we can know more about it, we can use this in biotechnology to capture carbon artificially. Today, capturing carbon, carbon sequestration, carbon sinks, all these are the terms associated with global warming. So this can pave way for such processes is one thing. That is the implication. Second thing is biomass production. Biomass, we know that biomass is nothing but living weight or living or the organic matter that is produced by plants, which contributes to productivity of the ecosystem. In the static part, we have learned about ecological productivity. Ecological productivity is nothing but rate of formation of biomass. Not only plants can do it, algae can also do it. If algae is there in the given environment, which acts as a producer, it strengthens the entire ecosystem. The food chain is strengthened. The biodiversity is supported. So it is like, maybe it is a very small thing, but it would enhance or it contribute to the major ecosystem growth or ecosystem balance we can talk about. So going back to this research, maybe question will not be asked on the Picocystis salinarum, or might be, because simply giving the term and giving it was recently seen in news. What is it? That can be asked. Or the importance of algae or the importance of producers in tackling climate change or carbon capture. Here we are using the word carbon capture, but basically we are associating this term to global warming or greenhouse gas emission itself. That is the connection here. Okay, very simple. News is very simple, but its implication is more as saline conditions they are thriving. So the takeaway from this area should be, what are extremophiles? Add some more examples for extremophiles. Okay, some of the example for extremophiles which live in extreme condition. It can be a bacteria, it can be plant, it can be animal, it can be anything. Add some examples to it. Okay, then picoplanktons are nothing but smaller in size, smaller in micron size when compared to other algae. That is where we see is the smallest algae. Okay, and its implication, its contribution in tackling climate change. These are the takeaways from this topic. Okay. Moving on, from under science and tech, we had a term called as WASP 10 or 107b was recently in news. Now, NASA's James Webb Telescope has discovered a new exoplanet which is the size of a Jupiter. What is an exoplanet? What is the meaning of exoplanet? What is an exoplanet? Exosphere, you might have learned. Or maybe let's say anything starts with ex as a prefix, means external, outer planets, right? So the James Webb Telescope has recently identified or discovered a new exoplanet which is the size of Jupiter. So this new exoplanet is named as WASP 107b, 107b. The name of the exoplanet it is. Simple question. WASP 107b was recently seen in news. What is it? Exoplanet, asteroid, comet, anything, right? So make sure that certain unique names you should be knowing what is it and some basic details about it. So let's look into it. So the new exoplanet is named WASP 107b and is situated 200 light years away in the Virgo constellation, one of the constellations in the space. So surprisingly, it exhibits a water cycle like Earth. This exoplanet, what we have discovered, what it's been discovered, exhibits similar water cycle we have on Earth. We know what is water cycle: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, right? But here the water cycle is different. Here the rain is not in the form of water but sand. We have sand rain in this exoplanet. So that is the uniqueness of this. These are the features, these are the points given in the article. Okay, so as I was asked you already, exoplanets are nothing but the planets that orbit around other stars, any other stars, any other constellation. If a planet, or because sun is a star, there are planets that orbit around this star. There are million or billion or any number you give, infinite number of stars, wherein exoplanets are nothing but the planets that orbit around the other stars are called as exoplanets. Sun is our star. Any other star would be, or any other planets which rotate or revolve around any other star apart from sun, we call it as exoplanet. As simple as that. That's the definition. Okay, exoplanets are nothing but the planets that orbit around the other stars. Other stars here refers to sun, other than sun. So exoplanets are basically very hard to see directly with, even with telescopes also it is very difficult. They are hidden by the bright glare of the stars, because the stars glare itself is too much, wherein it is very difficult to, what you call as, identify the exoplanets. Yet we have discovered it, or it has been discovered. So this is an achievement, this is a feat basically. So the key points on this particular WASP 107b is the mass is 30.5 of the Earth size, and it takes only 6 days orbit to home star. For us it is 365 days for Earth, but when it comes to this, what do you call as, to orbit its home star, the star which is orbits, it takes only 6 days, and it is slightly cooler and less massive than our sun. The home star is slightly cooler when compared to the sun. Okay, then it shares Jupiter's size. The size of this exoplanet is Jupiter's size, which is the largest planet, but possesses the mass of Neptune, making it less dense than the other gas giants. Now you might be confused. What is this Jupiter size, Neptune mass, and all that? Definitely in detail about WASP will not be asked. Okay, it is just what we call as a measurement, just scaling it, how big it is, what is the mass of it. But what could be the possible questions? Questions can be on what the meaning of exoplanets. Questions can be on the basic questions on our own solar system, again, Jupiter, Neptune, and all that. We come back to the basics. So as I told you already, we see on this particular planet, we have identified the sand rain. WASP 10b exhibits a water cycle akin to Earth, with one peculiar difference. Instead of water droplets, the planet experiences sand rain. Now what is happening? The falling grains are nothing but silicate vapors rising from lower atmospheric level. So that means silica that has been evaporated, that is received as sand rain. So sand, silica, hope you get the association here. So similar to Earth's water cycle, these sand clouds precipitate back to lower planetary atmospheric level. What has been absorbed in the evaporation, the silica, it's been received in the form of, that is silica itself, but what we call as sand rain. This is the concept of sand rain. Maybe question on sand rain can also be asked. That is there. Okay, so this is what we have. Apart from that, speaking of Jupiter, Jupiter is called as Jovian planet, right? We will look into what are gas giants, some of the very static, very basic part, school level topics. Gas giants are large planets composed mostly of gases such as hydrogen and helium. This is a definition, with a relatively small rocky core. What are the examples of gas giants in our solar system? Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These are also called as Jovian planets, right? Jovian planets. Why are they called as Jovian planets? So what are the other planets called as? Mercury, Mars, Earth. Yes, Jovian are Jupiter-like planets. What is this demarcation we have? Because we have this asteroid belt. This is a rocky planet. We have an asteroid belt. So that means these are outer planets, inner planets, we say. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, inner planets. Beyond this, we have an asteroid belt. And beyond asteroid belt, we have this gas giants, which mainly, rather than rocky planets, they are gas giants. They are made up of gas basically, rather than rocky area. So that is why we say small rocky core. So this solar system, 4 gas giants reside farthest from the sun. Okay, and beyond the asteroid belt, they are called as outer planets. And all these outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, have numerous moons. I think Jupiter has the highest number of moons, and still counting. We are still adding to the list, right? So they also have planetary rings, like especially Saturn is the best example, composed of dust and other smaller particles, encircle the planet in a thin plane. So we are trying to understand this gas giants because this exoplanet is similar to the gas giant, what we already have in our solar system. So we go back to the concept of gas giants. Clear with this? So the takeaway from this topic is the name of the exoplanet, what are gas giants, what is sand rain. Clear? So we move on to the next topic, that is tribes in news. Tribes in news. So we see that every week, as I've mentioned already. So this week we have O or Ao and Sumi Nagas tribe. Okay. So what is the news about? The news is quite fascinating. The news is regarding the seed preservation the seed preservation knowledge of these Naga tribes. Both are from Nagaland. So the focus is on seed preservation, but simply as they are in the news, you should be knowing maybe Ao tribes or Ao, however it is pronounced, Ho tribe, I believe. The Sumi Nagas wouldn't have been in Sumi tribes can be given. So place should be known, location should be known. Apart from that, you can use these points in your main answer writing also. Is an example of traditional knowledge, or maybe the concept of traditional knowledge also becomes important, very, very important. So let's see the key takeaways from this area. So seed preservation is the traditional knowledge for these tribes of Nagaland, which has been orally passed from one generation to another. Now, what is traditional knowledge? Maybe I can give you an assignment. We have something called as Indian government has a portal, or we have a portal called as TKDL, Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, which is a repository of various skills and knowledge of the indigenous communities we have it in India. Maybe it is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Sowa Rigpa, SOWA-RIGPA. Sowa Rigpa is a traditional medicine, again is also a Tibetan medicine, Tibetan type of medicine. It is also practiced in India today. So it is a traditional knowledge is nothing but the repository of various ideas, various skills that has been passed from one generation to another in India. Okay. Today, traditional knowledge is given importance worldwide because of the method of the preservation of the seeds. It could be the skills or the what do you call as artist or art forms, anything which is traditionally passed on from one generation to another. So traditional knowledge can also be given importance because there is a convention that is associated with traditional knowledge. You can make a note of it, and I wanted to look it up. That is, if anyone can tell me that. Convention on Biological Diversity. CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity, is the convention that also gives that one of the areas that gives importance to is traditional knowledge of the people, indigenous community. So this is not only about the tribes, this is not only about the seed preservation. Please give importance to the concept of traditional knowledge as well. Okay, it's a very huge, big concept, but giving you certain hints where you have to collect the information from. Now, we will look into the points. The principle of saving seeds is present in every aspect of cultivation, right from selection of crops. Traditionally agrarian, Nagaland, these Naga communities practice jum or shifting cultivation. So the agricultural practice they follow is jum cultivation. We will see about that also here. Okay, and how do they preserve seeds? Some of the important points we'll be looking into. See, let the news be anything. We're just focusing on whether tribes are there in news or not. Yes, we have this week, and beyond that, the peripheral aspects of the news. So the key points, the storage methods they follow. These are you can see how they follow the way they preserve the seeds, the way they use, everything is conventional. It is like going like time traveling to several hundreds of years, how they are following the way they have kept in the Naga village, you can see, right? So they store in pumpkin, beans, sesame, or mustard and pumpkin are preserved through sun drying, while others are stored in baskets. They make out the baskets which are made out of what do you call as biodegradable materials. Only materials used for the baskets are bamboo, cane, stems, which has starch content, which has low starch content, which is resistant to pests. So this is a kind of a knowledge that is being transformed orally. Okay, then we will see anyway some of the factors here. So storage methods differ across crop varieties. For beans, sesame and mustard seeds, it is sun-dried, while maize is bundled in rows above fireplace or tied to kitchen roofs. Yes, even today the farming community have their own conventional methods, but it is declining because of more of switching to various technologies, and also the troubles with the association with that also comes. Rather than what do you call as affording to the higher expensive technology, this is an idea given wherein this is an awareness wherein this is also how seed preservations can be done, storage can be done. Okay, learning from this community. So rice is stored in household granaries called, they have their own names in different tribes, that is Jan and Ale in both the tribes. And these residents also build community granaries that are strategically positioned on the outskirts of the village. So, where do they store it? They store outside the village, where it is free from any what do you call as disasters, especially fire. So, to maintain it well. So, a community granary is there for entire community. And every traditional Naga kitchen also has multiple rectangular tiers above the hearth, that is the burning place, the wood place, warming place to store seeds and small agricultural implements. So it is a very traditional way of storing it. The entire article spoke about it. Some of the points only I've added here. If you are intrigued, you can go through the article as well. Apart from that, we will look into two methods of jhum cultivation, traditional jhum fields they have. In highlands means in the mountain areas, the soil is loosely condensed and glutinous. So it is better suited for maize, taro, mustard crops, and glutinous rice. Glutinous in the sense glucose rich, long grain rice. Mountain regions are utilized for jhum cultivation. In lowlands, not the mountains, in the plain lands, in the lowlands, they take up cultivation of beans, chili, and leguminous crops. Idea of this is going to help you somewhere, some question which you can logically relate to. Okay, this is just an idea. I was only in the concept of bringing the names of the tribes here, but these are the examples you can also use in mains, if you remember, because these are quite illustrative, the way the tribes follow it. Okay, you can use this as an example in mains answer. Fine. Moving on to the next one, that is regarding agriculture. That is possible answer to farm fires, new rice variety can replace Pusa 44. Now, I think we in the one of the classes we have discussed about this rice variety, or the alternative, the solution should be taken for stubble burning. Last entire week, at least 2 weeks, we have been witnessing this air pollution in Delhi. And one of the reasons, not the main reason, one of the reasons is also because of stubble burning, right? Indian government, central government, as well as state governments are bringing or finding various alternatives in, yes, tackling this stubble burning. Correct. So recently, Supreme Court has directed these three governments, that is Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan, who take up stubble burning, to stop it, and stop it in a way wherein experts have reinterpreted it, saying that the order of the Supreme Court did not mention that, what is that? There was no reference to the substitute of Pusa 44. Pusa 44 is a rice variety. And it was understood that it is all about banning this rice variety so that stubble burning can be totally stopped. So there is no mention of new rice variety. It is just a reinterpretation. But if at all it is a new rice variety, which is that? Which rice variety is going to replace Pusa 44? And what are the implications of Pusa 44? Why are we doing it? Why should government do it? Already Punjab Chief Minister has mentioned next year it would be banned. All of a sudden, overnight banning would cause trouble to the farmers. So this will be banned from next year. But after banning, what's next? We have to find an alternative. We have to find a substitute. So that would be the new rice variety would be the answer, is what it's been reinterpreted or interpreted here. So let's look into some of the points that's been mentioned here. So Pusa 44. Okay, Pusa 44 is being bred by, or it is being brought out by a New Delhi based Indian Agricultural Research Institute. That is, it is a long duration variety that takes 155 to 160 days to mature. That is the main trouble here. Okay, it takes 155 to 160 days to mature from the time of nursery sowing of seeds to harvesting of grain. Very, very long period, right? Very long period. So the idea in here is the crop that is transplanted in mid-June after nursery, sowing a month earlier, is ready for the harvesting only towards late October, considering the number of days. And since this leaves very little time for field preparation to sow the next wheat crop, right? Did you understand the logic here? Pusa 44 is a rice variety wherein it is widely grown in all these states. No trouble with that. It is a high yielding variety. Everything is so perfect. But how it is affecting the stubble burning issue or the air pollution, because it takes longer time. By the time they harvest, the farmers harvest, they should make the field ready for the next sowing season, that is wheat crop. Now, the only way to remove the entire crop from the field is to burn it. So when you burn it, it acts as a fertilizer. It enriches the nutrients, no doubt in it. From the soil, from the perspective of the soil nutrition, definitely it enriches because of the ash that is burnt. It acts as a organic matter. But what happens in the atmosphere, it is a concern. It leads to air pollution, definitely. So what the farmers do? Farmers resort to burning the standing stubble and loose straw that remains after harvesting using combine machines. Combine in order to remove what you call as cut off the stalk. The stalk will be remaining, the stem will be there, that will be burnt. This is causing air pollution. I mean, contributing to air pollution, one of the reasons. So the government is deciding we should stop doing this because it is taking longer time, less time for preparation, and also leading to air pollution. So next, the substitute would be Pusa 2090. 2090 is already been tested. Okay, it is already been tested. So next variety would come. I mean, some points have, because of the font size, it has gone. I'll just let you know that. So Pusa 2090 is the next upcoming, what do you call as, what is it? Next variety. Okay. Besides what you call as farmer fields in the Delhi NCR region in the last 2 seasons, it has been improved, it has been tested. So definitely that Pusa 44 will be replaced by Pusa 2090. That is the interpretation experts are saying. Already this variety has officially been identified for cultivation in Delhi and Odisha. Delhi and Odisha farmers have considered it. So shortly, the cultivation of this Pusa 2090 will be happening. And in Punjab, Pusa 44 will be banned in the next year, and this will be replaced. But Supreme Court did not mention anything regarding the new variety, but by default, this is what you have understood. Now, the question is, the area you have to connect with is stubble burning, the rice variety, okay, any other implications of stubble burning, and the drawbacks of it. As I've already mentioned, why it is a drawback when it comes to air pollution. Hope it is clear. Okay. Yes, it is just a continued narrative, we can say. Then moving on to places in news. Just a small news. River Dnipro was recently in news. Why I have taken up this topic? Because in the previous prelims, we see because of the Russia-Ukraine war, the question was not asked on what, even now also, Israel, Gaza, that is happening, continuously that is happening. There are n number of articles and facts and many things are coming up. It all narrows down to the places in news. They will ask regarding the water bodies or some regions, some states, some cities. That is how the questions will be asked, because it is quite sensitive, wherein maybe or science and tech or missile technology, possibly this time. We see in the last year we see certain places of which was in news during Ukraine-Russia war, which is an ongoing war, was asked. So I brought this topic here. Okay, just the name of the river. Now, what is the news? Recently, Russia's military stopped Ukraine from creating a foothold on the eastern side of Dnieper or Dnipro river. It is pronounced in different way in different countries, different regions. So the news is very simple. The Russian military stopped Ukraine from having taking the side of the eastern side. I mean, taking the foothold on the eastern side. So Other facts are, it is the fourth longest river in Europe after Volga, Danube, and Ural. In Russia, the river's name is Dnieper. Ukrainian, it is Dnipro. Belarusian, it is Dniapro. Different names are given. Just remember the name of the river. Located in Eastern Europe, and its tributaries drain much of Belarus and Ukraine. So historically, the river was an important barrier dividing Ukraine into right and left banks. It is a very important river. Now the eastern side is taken over by the Russian military. Very simple. Now you can look into the map and also check the in and around water bodies. Again, going back to Ukraine-Russia region itself, look into the sea. Okay, seas, water bodies, strait, connectivity, anything, any smaller water bodies, you have to look into, again, glance over it. That is why we have to, even for Israel, Gaza, also the same thing. Look into the water bodies, the countries bordering it, neighboring countries. All these are very, very important from mapping session or mapping perspective, or maybe question that will be asked on places in news. Okay. Now, one more place was in news, that is Tuvalu Island. Tuvalu Island was recently seen in news, and it has its own importance, definitely from the climate change perspective. Nothing to do with the war here. It is regarding climate change. Now, what is the news? Australia has offered refuge to citizens of Tuvalu, a small Pacific island nation. Tuvalu is a very small Pacific island nation, wherein Australia has given a refuge. What kind of refuge are we talking about? Climate refuge. It is not because some ethnic conflict, no war or nothing. These have turned into refuges because of climate change. That is the trouble here. So Tuvalu is a series of low-lying atolls. Atolls mean, we know that atolls is nothing but one of the types of coral reefs. We have three types of coral reefs: fringing, barrier, atoll. So basically Tuvalu Island is a atoll. So it has hardly 11,200 people, and repeatedly it has been in news to take action to combat climate change. As it's a very small island, obviously we know Pacific Ocean, rising sea level would lead to merging of the entire country, entire region. So that is the trouble here. So the agreement, now it is known as Fallipili Union. Maybe simply Fallipili Union was recently seen in news. That can be asked. Fallipili Union allows up to 280 Tuvalu citizens to reside, work, and study in Australia. Today, they have signed an agreement wherein citizens can come to Australia, they can reside, work, and study. This is how Australia has agreed to offer this refuge to the Tuvalu citizens. Okay, this is quite a news, so you have to make a note of it, not only from mapping, but also from the view perspective of climate change, that area. So additionally, apart from this, Australia has pledged funding, including Australian dollar, that is 17 million Australian dollars, to assist Tuvalu in adapting climate change. This is the news. This is the report. Let's look into the facts regarding the place. So this is the location of the Tuvalu Island on the Pacific Ocean. You can see here, Tuvalu. We have already question on Fiji, or maybe importance to Fiji, or what do you call us, this Kiribati. Kiribati was also seen in news. So all these are prominent places on the Pacific Ocean, okay, smaller islands which are vulnerable to climate change. So what are the facts we have to look into? Tuvalu formerly was known as Ellis Islands. It is a Polynesian island, group of French Polynesia. It is one of the islands there. So it is located between Hawaii and Australia. And it is a volcanic archipelago comprising 3 reef islands and 6 true atolls. This just for the fact. It is the 4th smallest country globally, with the highest point at 4.6 meters. This is also for the fact, but focus on, it is often referred to as, if at all, if there any country, it is going to submerge because of climate change, that would be Tuvalu. That is why it is quite popular, okay? That is why Australia has given, what do you call as, a climate refuge to these citizens. So Tuvalu will become, probably because of the climate change, it would become a country which would submerge because of climate change. So remember the name. It is in Pacific Ocean. Okay. Moving on to the last topic today. Okay, I have not put up questions. Today I'm going to add more questions in the next class, like say more like 5 to 10 questions. I thought let me focus on topics this time. This session I'll be adding questions together. That's what I thought. Okay, let me complete this part. World Bank's worldwide governance indicators. This was recently seen in news. Worldwide governance indicator. Recently, the chief economic advisor of World Bank, Mr. V. Ananta Nageshwaran, his chief economic advisor, said that there is a need for World Governance Index. The topic is on Worldwide Governance Index or World Governance Index. What is it? We will see. The World Bank compiles the worldwide governance indicators using data from more than 30 think tanks. It is an indicator how transparent the governance of the World Bank is, because like how we depend upon, when it comes to healthcare, we depend upon what you call as WHO. Likewise, all the financially monetarily aspects we depend upon World Bank. So how transparent it is, that's the question here. The World Bank compiles the worldwide governance indicators using these data, considering all the organizations. So this indicator is not recently developed. It is a very old method which was developed in 1999 by two World Bank researchers themselves, Daniel Kaufman and Art Craig, just for the fact. So the data is updated every year or annually, in September. So this is the news. But simple questions can be asked on World Bank or World Bank itself, or apart from that, the indicator also, and India stands on it, or maybe the reports that World Bank establishes or publishes, anything. Okay, so that's why, just for the sake of knowing it, we are looking into it. So it provides a ranking of 215 countries and territories. It is based on 6 dimensions. And these indicators are designed to help researchers and analysts to analyze or assess broad patterns in perceptions of the governance across the countries. So basically, it is about the governance in the countries. What does it consider? Voice and accountability, rule of law, control of corruption. So it is a kind of it's made up of many think tanks or organizations which collect information from various countries, provides ranking. Maybe you have to look into the origin of World Bank, some of the organizations, agency under World Bank group, okay, the entire World Bank group, India's position in World Bank, and reports that has been published under World Bank. Okay, the origin, the history we are talking about. Bretton Woods Conference, if you have heard about it, you can look into it from there. Okay, that is the static part you have to know. Apart from that, as it was in the news at the globe, at the world news, world affairs, I have just brought up here. So this is what we have from today's session. Mostly it was quite vibrant today's topic also. From various fields we have discussed news. Less we have on polity also, but more on different aspects like connecting climate change or science and tech and species and all that. So try to remember when you attend the classes, when you attend the sessions, what happens, at least when you attend the sessions, rather than reading, listening or revising already what you have read, you listen again from the different perspective. It is just a revision for you. Of course, there is plethora of information online. You can get it from anywhere. You can read the same thing everywhere. It is not that it here, when you attend the sessions and also be interactive and it is repetitive, it is also a way of learning, listening and learning. Okay, so yes, this is what we have in today's session. So I'll come back with questions in the next session. Okay, including like what I have not added here. In the next session we'll discuss more questions also. Okay, so this is what we have today. So any queries if you have, you can ask, or else we'll call it a day. We'll wind up the session. Okay, if you have no questions, no queries, we'll see you in the next class, next session. Thank you so much and take care and study well.